Hey YouTube, ADB024. I just want to talk about rail today. This here is a railroad going from Eugene, Oregon to Coos Bay, Oregon. It's been not in use now for about 2 years. As you can see, there's thousands of trees on this railroad just knocked over. Tunnels are caved in. Bridges are ready to collapse. You see the rails are rusted. It hasn't been used in years. And something that recently happened was the port of Coos Bay wanted to purchase this railroad, but of course they didn't have the funding to, and no banks at the time would loan money because of the credit crisis. So what happened was the state stepped in and said, hey, we'll loan you that money. So now what we have is the state having ownership now in this railroad with a loan. And you know what? This railroad, at one time, yeah, it was great. It went to Coos Bay, one of the it's the largest natural deep water port in Oregon, and at one time it was the largest port for shipping out wood products in the country. But now today, you know what? There's nothing being shipped there. This railroad's useless. There's no commodities being shipped from or to. This it's a disaster. Now you have taxpayer dollars invested in this, which is it's ridiculous. Today I'm heading from Eugene to Coos Bay, so maybe we'll get to show you a little bit more about this. But speaking of rail too, Obama's high-speed rail program is a bunch of crap. It's a bunch of BS. Here in Eugene, they want to do high-speed rail from Eugene to Seattle, and I know it's a bunch of BS because I've looked into it before on what existing programs were out there, and this was a program that even Clinton started back in the 90s, and he just paid for investigations on how and where to build these high-speed rail lines. And these high-speed rail lines are to use the existing rail, which transports freight on there too. We're talking in America, and Washington's high-speed rail is a joke too. They classify high-speed rail as 90 miles per hour and over. And the only thing it takes to get that and call it high-speed rail, to be able to go at that speed, right now there's maximum speed that Amtrak can operate on is like 78 or 80 miles an hour without it being classified as high-speed rail. And to classify it as high-speed, there can't be any grade crossings. So there can't be any, that is the road on the same level as the tracks. So what's going to happen is ODOT's going to get money, and partially some of the railroads too, the private railroads, and you're going to have to make bridges over the railroad tracks and tunnels under the railroad for the vehicles to go, and then we can get trains at 120 miles an hour, which is a joke. When you're talking, we could have high-speed rail up to 400 miles an hour, but it'll never happen because the plan now we're wasting money on is a joke, because they want to use existing freight rail lines. If you want to do it, you have to do it separate. I know there'd be more money involved, but if you're gonna do it, you got to do it right, and we're doing it the wrong way. But anyhow, we'll get moving along here on our way to Coos Bay. We're down the road here a little bit farther, Highway 126 from Eugene to Florence, and here's this Coos Bay Railroad here again, and this is where the railroad crosses the Siuslaw River here on its way along the coast, the Oregon coast now, down south to Coos Bay. This old bridge, built in 1914, originally by the Southern Pacific Railroad, is in pretty bad shape. You can tell they've let it go to waste. All the steel there is starting to rust because they haven't painted it for years. So that's one of the things that'll have to be refurbished, and it's going to cost a lot of money. And now the taxpayers are going to be the ones doing that. But a little further down the road here, almost to Florence, and this is Highway 126 crossing the North Fork of the Siuslaw River, and behind me here is a project that's been going on by ODOT, and I think it's been going on for about 2 years now. This one little bridge here, and it's even had to stop construction several times due to environmental reasons because of native habitat for the mussels and the sand, and just a prime example of what's going on in this country now. You know, you can't get anything built, and it costs 10 times the amount it should. And that railroad is another example of it. One of the things was it was going to cost more to actually just scrap it, because you would have to take out those bridges, those trestles that cross the river, and it was it would cost more to take out those trestles than it would to fix the whole railroad. And most likely, because of the regulations and laws we have today with these environmentalists. Hey there, here's Coos Bay in the background here. There's a Highway 101 bridge across Coos Bay, and we also have the railroad trestle across Coos Bay, another terrible condition trestle. You can see even right now on Highway 101 bridge, you have it's like Department of Transportation doing some concrete work on there too. If you ever get a chance, come through Oregon. Highly recommend taking 101 along the coast. So this here's Coos Bay. As you can see, there's not a single ship in it. There used to be ships here all the time getting loaded with logs, being shipped off to Japan, and then they used to sell them back to us cut and doing it cheaper, but it seems Japan's not even buying timber now. But as you can see, there still is a log yard here, and it seems occasionally they'll be loading logs and shipping them out, but nothing like it used to be. Over here you can see all these old wood pilings, because there used to be mills all through along the bay shipping lumber out all over around the world. And the railroad tracks are over here. But what that railroad's going to do to the state, it's going to be like an AIG. It's going to keep sucking up money. It's never going to produce any profits without something being shipped out of this bay. Something producing something. And it seems even from the environmental impact, the locals, environmentalists, for the largest cargo ships, this bay would need to be dredged, but they won't even allow that. I've heard claims of destroying whale habitat. It sounds like a joke. Whales in the bay, huh? Hey YouTube, here at my final destination of this trip here in Cape Argo State Park. Call this Shore Acres, and it's an old timber baron's property actually, and him and his wife started this back in the early 1900s, and it's no longer owned by the private person. It's been acquired by the state of Oregon. It's a state park now, and some locals volunteer their time and keep up the park, and it's really, really nice. And we got there's plants from all over the world here, trees, and it's well established. We're talking trees from all over the world have been planted over 100 years ago, so everything's just awesome. And there's plants from South Africa to Asia to Japan, China, possibly even some Antarctic plants. Just to give you an idea of how this used to look, here's a brochure showing the original mansion. And here where I'm standing, this isn't the exact location, but I'll show you, here's the Pacific Ocean. Come over here, see the garden. It's just on the other side of this fence here. Really nice area, recommend it to anyone.